Hello, and welcome back to the definitive Starship review series without access to a proper table because it's got a bunch of random stuff on it for various reasons and there's no room. That's my excuse for this week. Where today we are reviewing the USS Excelsior, which is, of course, it's a classic. It's a classic, beloved design that, since its introduction in the 23rd century, has managed to stick around this general, design philosophy, this general shape in some form of another. I mean, unaltered for a good, 150 years? Until like the early 25th century. No, 24th, rather late 24th, where they swap out the nacelles. But yeah, no, we see variations of this thing well into the 32nd century. And the 32nd century Excelsior, I mean, they're all very good. But today, we're not concerning ourselves with any of that. We are taking a look at the original. I mean, technically the undiscovered country version because it's NCC, not NX. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, the original design. Which, I mean, I like it, first off. I mean, just look at that. It's the Excelsior class. I like it. There are a few little critiques that I might have here and there. I generally think the Enterprise B is a better refinement of this design, but there is a lot to love about this design. I believe the first Federation starship we see, other than the Enterprise, of course, outside of the animated series. And even then, it's pretty early on, and this went on to define quite literally a generation of starship design, this in the Enterprise A. But yeah, let's start with kind of the general things. First off, this is the next Constitution. This is the direct replacement in that line. It's the Enterprise line, but more generally of those flagships, of that saucer body, that general design philosophy we see in all the Enterprises, and it's fantastic. It does a fantastic job of feeling like the next Enterprise, or the next Constitution, rather. It's bigger. It's noticeably bigger, especially in proportions. I think the Enterprise A is only like nacelle size, but it doesn't cross the line into being ridiculous, especially if you kind of look at this big, chunk that's taken out of what would be the body if it was, more symmetric. The saucer is a lot wider. I believe it's proportionally much flatter. You eat a bunch of chunk with the engines. I think it doesn't feel too much bigger in terms of usable space. I mean, yeah, it's a difference, but it's not some crazy jump. And especially when you consider, well, first off, just the design on this neck piece here makes it feel a lot less usable and livable than something like the Constitution or even like a Galaxy. When you add that and then consider all the like experimental technology in this thing. I mean, this was designed for transwarp, not that it ended up working. You can get just kind of the perspective, this big chunk in here, that like a whole bunch of this is potentially just deflector engineering. We gotta have a massive warp core in here somewhere for all these huge nacelles. It feels very much like, for the volume that this is actually compared to the Enterprise A, it's perhaps not as much usable space you'd get as you would have thought. I love this as a lineage. And of course, it's like century longevity well into the 24th century, even able to even fight the Dominion War with presumably some upgraded weapons. Just, really, really gives credit to how good of a design is. The workhorse of the Federation, these Excelsior classes. But let's get into some more specifics as we talk about. First off, I mean, basic saucer section. I think it's unique. We've got things like this, the Excelsior, but in a much smaller scale. It's nothing like the Galaxy class, whose saucer gets reused all the time. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, but it works. I like the proportions compared to the rest of the ship. I like kind of the thick tapering it has. And as much as you want to say maybe it's not too big proportionally, like, it's a huge structure. And so even this little slope, which to be fair is like double the height of this rim, it's it's a lot of space. I mean, this is the living space. This is where I think a lot of the day-to-day stuff, probably a lot of the labs, a lot of this has got to be mostly engineering and stuff, maybe tactical. But it's a good design. The beautiful movie era Aztecing, of course, the gold, the pinstriping, low numbers. Ooh, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason this era is so beloved. Just this combination of the blue and the white is sort of your mains, a little bit of blacks, but then just this gold and red here and there to really make it pop with the insignias just outlining your RCS thrusters. This sort of big kind of rim that cuts out this very Hiawatha-esque, sort of shape. I'm not a huge fan of this. I think the Enterprise B does it a lot better. And I'll probably do a video on the Enterprise B not too long from now, especially if there seems to be demand to kind of follow up on this. If you look at the actual clips and stuff from the movie, or even the shows, it's not as obvious on this model. This yellowy gold paint is actually draws the eye a lot more. But it's still... it's very minor. I like the Enterprise B's version of this a lot better. But then we get basically the command center, and I really like. So this is the actual business of the ship. All of this exists to support this, and I kind of like that vibe. Even as much as I don't really like how they've done it, the separation of the business and then the saucer section, very nicely done. Let's zoom way up into the bridge. There we go. Yeah, I mean. First off, just for getting a sense of scale, not too much of a say about up there, but what I really like, honestly, is this kind of impulse engine unit here. I mean, of course, we've got a huge ship. Oh my god, look at that thing. And I like the bulk of this. I think off the top of my head, I mean, we've got a few other designs, but I think this is one of the few starships that really kind of makes the impulse feel substantial. Like, there's a lot of oomph in this that's got to go to just moving this starship when it's not at warp, and at warp as well. I actually prefer, again, the Enterprise B that makes it even more, prominent with the big impulse engines over here. But I like this basic one. You could argue that maybe the saucer gets a bit repetitive without the big engine blobs there. But, it's the saucer. It's got the nice symmetry. It's got plenty going on, I think. It's perfectly fine without them. And if you consider as well that this thing was supposed to be, transwarp all super fast, you probably wouldn't design it with as much impulse power that eventually gets retrofit on after the whole transwarp thing doesn't work out. Yeah, I really like this big chunky engine bit here. It works for this design specifically, especially, all this empty space behind it. I know there's no exhaust with impulse, but just kind of clearing that path, those line of sights, which generally are all very good on this ship. The neck, I like the visible torpedo things, even though they're really small, they're really subtle. I'd feel a little concerned in, as we call them, the little science domes. I think these are usually science labs that kind of whiz past, or in some cases even through it. And then just these indents down here with the torpedoes. I know the original Constitution class was kind of big thing Gene Roddenberry had, that the weapons weren't visible, because it was supposed to be all peaceful and utopian. The weapons of the original Enterprise just kind of come out of nowhere. But I like, the sense of realism we start getting with the motion picture era. Getting over to the body, of course, United Federation of Planets, Starship. Ooh, you don't see that in any other ship, I don't think. Starship, USS Excelsior, United Federation of Planets. Yeah, the beautiful red streak. I mean, this whole design just kind of feels like you pinched and pulled out, which I really like. For a ship that's designed for transwarp, I like the vibes of the sort of sleek, it's going fast, it's almost, the back of it is kind of trailing behind it with the speed. And there's kind of the in-universe reason with transwarp, I think when they actually get transwarp working, the ships are generally a lot sleeker and stuff. But again, just helping to give size without the ship feeling too big. It feels very natural to me. It looks good. I mean, that's always important. You really only get the bump for the deflector dish, which again, because the ship is so big, I like the size. I like the chunkiness. It's even more powerful in the show and in the movies where, it's just that big blue glow. It almost feels bigger. I think in those images I was looking online before this. And as I said before here, not too much going on here, but kind of exactly enough. You've got just the sign of something going on a little greebly. I don't believe it's a shuttle bay. Just because those bumps would be a bit weird, but it might be. These little, I'm going to call them pipes, but these bulges along this blue thing. I mean, first off, the blue thing exists. But for an underside, for a shot, you're especially not even really going to see. But even when you do, this greebly thing is interesting. It adds to kind of the longness, the forward motion vibes of the whole ship. The curve itself is very interesting, the way it curves up. And of course, this Aztecing pattern is beautiful. It does a lot on these big empty spaces. I really like it. In converse to my biggest problem with the Excelsior class, this right here. The top of the body, I mean, what is this? This is just lazy. If you Google USS Excelsior, Excelsior class, whatever, like I did before this video, you'll see every photo is from this angle or lower. I couldn't even find an angle like this. I'm sure if I would actually watch the movies or like all of the episodes it's in, I'd find them. You might see maybe like this. They never show this off, because it's boring. It's bland and it's boring to the point where it draws the eye. You'll also see, if you Google, often this is kind of split up into a few different chunks. I don't think that's how it actually is in the show. It is on the Enterprise B, and on the reef at Excelsior's, but from what I see, that's more primary source. It looks like this is how it was originally, and I can only assume they've done that because this was expensive as a studio model, and they said, screw it, let's not film the top. And that's why all your shots look like this, because it's just so bland. It draws the eye to how there's nothing there. I mean, even if you just left Aztecing on the gray, like, down here, just that tiny bit of blue, it would have worked. But you really have to hold the ship sort of exactly like this so you don't see it. I mean, it's bland. In universe, it's just bland. It's a boring plate. Why is it there? This is my biggest criticism of the Excelsior. I think it's come up in a lot of videos. Why is the top of this so bland? Like, even back here, just if you had this, carry it down, maybe make the gray bits a bit shorter, and put like bumps or just lines like you have on the bottom. Along here, probably would have been fine. Look at these. These struts are basically a flat plane. They've just got some random indent in them. Beautiful. Looks fine. I think maybe it was to add some darker. I guess you've got darker colors with the blue down here as opposed to the white, and they want to continue that back. But even breaking up the panels like I see online, and I think that's an attempt to make this look not as bad, to just make it more visually interesting. It's better, but it's kind of just enough better to where you look at it and it draws your eye, because now that there's the tiniest bit of thing going on, that's where my eye goes, and I notice that it's still actually really bland. This needed a rework, and in fact, I know I said I'd do this in a later video, but here's the Enterprise B. Just look at that. Little bit of Aztecing. Oh my gosh, need a bit of dusting. But a little bit of Aztecing, just with some bluish gray. So much better. Like, just do something on there. Please don't judge me too harsh for how these models need a dusting. I have yet to unpack them, so, Moving on then, I already kind of talked about these struts. I like them, actually. They're very geometric. It's very right angle. Although there's a little bit... it's actually not. It is a right angle. It's just this gets thicker in an angle. I think it works for this ship because the saucer's so long. I don't know why it works, really. Just this almost extra bit it feels like you should be able to take off. I really think it works with the right angles. And then, of course, with how long the ship is. Actually, I think that's it. I think this gives width to the ship, even though it is slightly narrower than the saucer section. this is so narrow. I think if the pylons went at kind of an angle, it wouldn't feel as thick, but this really helps kind of buffet the ship out into a bit more of the box shape while still keeping the sleekness. But yeah, these nacelles, I mean, for how long the ship is, you needed them this big. As I said, the size of the Constitution class, these things. But yeah, they're so long, so they're a lot thinner. I love it. I love the glow you have on the top all the way around. I don't even know if you'd call those Bassard collectors. Yeah, I love them. The fins on the back here, I don't know. They do seem a little redundant. Maybe there's some transwarp thing if you're real nerdy. That's kind of nice at the bottom though to break it up, especially as it is just Aztecing on the bottom. That's a little plain, but if you zoom out, actually, yeah, no, I might have tried like a stripe, or maybe even this bit here that kind of bulges out, make that a slightly different color, because that is a little distracting in how kind of samey it is. And if you look at the saucer, you really don't need a lot to break that up and make it look good. And it kind of sticks out as the only bit, even the pylons, that don't have this blue. This is very nice, just I would have put something else up here. But yeah, I think it would work better if you just kind of take this, you bring the saucer in line with the nacelles, which, oh, wouldn't you know it, that's what the Enterprise B does. And actually, ooh, I will say the fins look a lot better on the Enterprise B, but no, that's, I gotta make an Enterprise B video eventually. We gotta save some stuff for that video. So yeah, it's a little, it could be refined, but I think the only reason I really think this could be refined is I've seen the second attempt. I've seen the Enterprise B, you know, and I've seen some of those refinements. I'm like, yeah, I generally like this a bit better. I think that's a not a universal opinion, preferring the Enterprise B, but still the Excelsior is it's a masterfully designed ship, and there's a reason that not only has it survived until the 32nd century, is like a general philosophy, these super long ships with the huge saucers and minimal body, to the point of the 32nd century, no body. It's very much looks like a workhorse. It could do a lot. It's got power, even if, you know, later on it might not be able to take on a galaxy or heck, a sovereign. You know, that the sovereign is probably, you know, the closest thing to a direct replacement to the Excelsior in like 100 years, 150 maybe. I'd have to check the dates, but even once you get those replacements, this still is plenty powerful to do, I'm sure, most missions around the Federation. It's a beloved design, it's a classic design, and that is not without reasons. She is a beauty. And from a lore, I like the transwarp sort of thing. I like it is something they kind of know is possible, they've theorized is possible. They've tried to build it, and then it didn't work. You know, it took another like 150 years before we actually kind of started getting transwarp around, or even maybe after Voyager. In my head, the Excelsior has always kind of been, you know, in Enterprise and TAS, really up until like here, they have a different warp scale to after the movies. And in my mind, it's kind of, they tried to build transwarp with the Excelsior, and the reason it didn't work is because warp didn't really work how they think it did. Like, warp scale works basically the same until warp 9, and then, you know, it shoots up. There's an asymptote at warp 10. Like, you just get infinitely faster. You can never reach warp 10, Tom Paris. And so, to me, this was kind of, in my headcanon, has always been the ship that discovered the warp 10 barrier, and basically led to the new warp scale, where they go, okay, warp works a little different than we thought. This transwarp thing's not going to work yet. We're going to need way more energy. And that's where you get the TNG warp scale from, in my headcanon. But yeah, look at this thing. I mean, it really is she really is a beauty. Most ships sort of have a good angle, maybe two, and the rest, they don't really work. This is the Excelsior's bad angle because of the middle, and even then, this is pretty good. This is a lot better than most ships' bad angles. But as I rotate it around, every other angle is a good angle. You don't see much, but this is still a good angle. They've just put so much care and attention into everything except this and, like, arguably that. Well, actually, like, this chunk here. They did put love and care into that, and it's so obvious. I mean, even for the movie, where you probably don't need a shot at every angle, it's astonishing. There's a reason, both in universe and out of universe, look at that this ship in this studio model has had as long longevity as it has. Even in the era where when we use a classic ship, we now have to redo the CGI, or Lower Decks has to reanimate it. It's still this, and it is a fantastic design. And yeah, with that, I think we're gonna start wrapping up. If you enjoyed that, be on the lookout. Pretty soon, I think I will release an Enterprise B video. We're gonna do some more Alex review starships like we had last week. The rest of the Universe collection I still got footage for. And then I think the week after, we're probably gonna try something new. We're probably gonna take a look at that guy back there, and is like a once a month thing. Start looking through some of my Lego models that are quite nice, especially those modular buildings. And also, I've mentioned this in streams, but coming up in the next few weeks, we'll probably start a Doctor Who watch-throughs along with our TOS, starting with the 9th Doctor and Rose, and just making our way through the modern era on Sundays, so a lot of stuff to look forward lot of stuff to look forward in the channel. Sort of moving forward as we get back into these weekly videos. And of course, I'm working on the next bigger video with a little temporal Cold War theory. So whole bunch of stuff to keep your eye out for. But I think I've rambled enough. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time!